Head coach Rick Tocchet speaks out on the Canucks' loss to the Minnesota Wild, and this player would be perfect for Vancouver. I'll get into that later on this episode. Before I start, I just want to say to everyone watching that's not subscribed, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long, giving you updates from all around the Canucks. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Tocchet speaks out on the loss. So when you do look at this, if you were watching the game, it was quite the terrible game to watch, especially going into the second and third. But Tocchet spoke out and said, just don't get frustrated. I think we were getting frustrated with some of the things out there, and we just don't let it fester. Because that's what happens when you get frustrated. You run out of position or you do something that's uncharacteristic. We've got to build a resolve when you're in tight situations, and you've got to make sure you keep your head. That's all. He continues on to say, take away the 5-on-4s, the 5-on-4s or whatever, 5-on-3s. Take away the stupid stick penalties, giving up goals at the end of the first. The 5-on-5 was good. I mean, we had a lot of possession time. We had a lot of chances. And obviously this game did come when the Canucks lost 7-10 today against the Minnesota Wild. They did give up 7 goals in the third. And honestly, it's quite fair to say this was uncharacteristic of the Canucks, who are the top team in the NHL right now. But this was a little concerning coming off back-to-back losses and just seeing them really collapse and giving up the 7 goals in the third period. We've seen Kaprizov complete his hat trick, Elias Pettersson completed his hat trick, and overall the Canucks just looked like a shell of themselves. They do have a back-to-back, so hopefully tomorrow's game's better, and we will get Demko in net. So we're not going to have Casey DeSmith, who has been struggling as of late. But just looking at what he says, if you got to learn how to play under pressure, we give them, 4 5-on-3s. We give them a goal at the end of the first, and we take a penalty after the second. These are lessons that we have to learn how to play under pressure. Now, obviously, the biggest thing with the Canucks this year is, yes, they've looked outstanding. They've had guys step up. Pettersson has looked great. Elias Lindholm has looked good. This team has looked good as a whole, but you see a lot of the time they do struggle at times. They might struggle sometimes against top-end teams. They do play quite well against top-end teams. I'm not saying they don't always, but this is a team that's inspiring to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, bring the cup to Vancouver, and just make this fans proud. Just reward the city, reward the team, management, everything. This team is looking at a Stanley Cup, and I think they're only a few more pieces, and not by acquiring top-end pieces, but they are just a few more things away from being one of the hardest teams that play in the playoffs, and a lot of teams wouldn't want to play. Now, this leads into the second topic today, which is this would be the perfect fit for the Canucks. Now, with this, I am talking about an article that came out by Canucks Army, and they were just kind of talking about players that they could add for truculence, grittiness on the Canucks, and just something that would make them harder to play against. Now, you might be asking yourself, what else do the Canucks need? You have Dakota Joshua. You have talent that can hit, score. You have everything you need. But obviously, having more toughness goes a long way, especially once you get into the playoffs. You get through round 1, 2, 3, the Stanley Cup Finals. You need toughness to get through this. And this player that they spoke about, and which I think is the perfect fit, is Michael Boeser. Michael Boeser is 6'1", 217 pounds, currently playing for the Montreal Canadiens. He was drafted by them in 2016 in the 6th round. He's a left-handed shot, and you can see this season he has 44 games played, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points, +2. When you're looking at this, honestly, you're like, this guy doesn't do a lot on offense. As you can see, he has 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. He is a +2 on a Montreal Canadiens team that isn't very good. Plus-minus is not something I really like to look at a lot. I think it's more of just an individual team stat more than a looking at one guy and saying, hey, this is completely on you. Obviously, if you're -30, it's not a good look. But being a +2 is great, especially on a team that is currently rebuilding and not in a playoff spot. So like I was saying, you look at the offense, you say, why is this guy the perfect fit? Now, when you do really take a look at him, he has face-off wins. Honestly, he has 5 face-off wins, 6 losses. This is not going to make or break. You can just see that he can step in when needed, and he was needed, 11 times, and he won 5 of them. But the biggest thing to look at here is the 177 hits and the average time on ice of it just being 7 minutes and 47 seconds per game. Now, when you do really look at this, this is complete fourth-line minutes. This is shelter minutes on the fourth line. But in 44 games, he's averagely playing 747 a game. 177 hits is quite insane. And I reached out to a friend on Habs Digest, Josh Goss. Go check out his channel if you like the Habs, or if you just wanted to kind of watch their misery when they are losing. But this is some things he said about him. He leads the NHL in hits per 60 by a wide margin, minimum 5 games at 31. The next best is Cole with 24.3 in 8 games, and you can see on here, and Pez has 44 games. He's a high effort, big mortar kind of guy, can drop the Mets whenever and wherever. Not a ton of skill, but he has at the best when he's on an aggressive forecheck line, in my opinion. Fourth line grinder, but he's a source of energy for a team. He has 177 hits in 343 minutes. Also has 3 goals, which is more literally anyone else on the list in the top 25. So you could just see Josh talking about this is a guy that has watched the Habs all season. He's a diehard fan. Like I said, check out Habs Digest if you do like the Habs or want to watch their misery at all. But he was just talking about how much of an impact this guy is. You've seen coaches, anyone talk about him and say this is literally a guy that will run through a wall for a team. And I think he's the perfect kind of player to bring into the Canucks to really help just solidify themselves going into the playoffs. I've seen comments from you guys saying you want more physicality, and I think this is the cheapest option you could get. This is a guy you could maybe acquire for a 4th, maybe a 4th and a 7th, 4th and a 5th, whatever it might be. It's not going to be a lot of value to bring in a guy like this. Right now, he is on a cap hit that's under $900K, so it's not going to hurt your cap hit at all. You're not going to have to move out pieces for him. This is just truly a piece that you can add to add the toughness this Canucks team needs. You've seen Tocchet speaking now, just saying how it was uncharacteristic. They kind of fold it into the third. You bring in a guy like this, he throws a massive hit. He pots a goal. I know only has 3, but when you do have people in your bottom 6 scoring, it does help motivate the team. I think he is the energy guy the Canucks really need to just help them get their quest to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, right now, you look at the Canucks. Right now, Dakota Joshua, 197 hits. You see quite a drop-off with JT Miller having 141. Noah Juleson, 118. Lafferty, 105. Pettersson, 88. Tyler Myers, 84. You can just work down your list on the total amount of hits this season for the Vancouver Canucks. When you look at this, at 141, JT Miller being second, this would automatically just put Pezzetta right into the number 2 spot. As I said, 177 hits. This is a 4th line guy, only playing 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Obviously, Marty St. Louis is a great coach. This is a guy that can motivate players. We've seen him do this with Cole Caulfield. But I think getting him under a wing of a guy like Rick Tocchet could really elevate this guy and just kind of unlock the next potential. So, like, where do you put him in the lineup is the biggest thing you look at. I think he's suited for the 4th line. I don't think you change this. If you did want to just kind of add him into that 3rd line instead of Mikheyev, you could do this as well until Dakota Joshua's back. But I truly think going into the playoffs, you could slot him on the 4th line left wing, and then keep Sam Lafferty on the right and just keep everything else intact. But I truly think this is a piece you have to go out and look for, especially if it comes at a cheap cost and not a lot of teams are bidding on it. So what's your guys' thoughts on this? Do you think this was the worst loss the Canucks had all year? I think it's one of the worst losses they had in quite some time. What's your thoughts on Rick Tocchet's comments? And do you think Pezzetta would be the perfect piece, or do you think I'm way over my head and I should get some sleep and not really focus on 4th liners that might not cause a huge impact? But this will be it for this episode of Canucks Digest. If you enjoyed, like I said, go down, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share with your friends and family. Let me know where you're from. Let me know your favorite Canucks player. Let me know anything you want to say in the comments. I love reading through them. And with that, that'll be it for this episode. Take care.